Welcome everyone to our June meeting for our Marketing and Market Research Tableau user group. Today we will be talking about Tableau Pulse. But before we get into that, we'll take some time to meet a few community members, and then we'll get into Tableau Pulse. Sarah will be telling us some cool stuff about Tableau Pulse and how we might be able to use it. And we will have a networking session at the end. For anyone who's new here, or just a reminder, we are the leadership team here. So I'm Josh Wilson. I'm an independent consultant. I focus on market research analytics, and that often involves using Tableau. Sharon's here as well.
Hi, everyone. Sharon here from San Jose, California. I'm also a data analyst, ranging from data pipeline engineering through to predictive analytics with my own consulting company. And super excited to hear about Pulse today.
Sarah?
Great. Yes, thank you. So I'm Sarah Pallett. I'm a Tableau consultant. I work with Argonaut. We're a large global consulting agency. Excuse me. We work in a number of different industries. Marketing is one of them. I come from an advertising and marketing background. I was a media planner buyer before getting into data visualization. So that's a little bit about my background and my love for marketing. Over to you, Luigi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Luigi. I'm Vice President of Operations at Direct Avenue. We're a linear connected television media buying agency. I am help lead our operations and in charge of our analyst. And I make pretty pictures in Tableau and in charge of our client reporting.
Awesome. So that's a little bit about us here. And next we want to know, I'm jumping ahead. Put the announcements at the beginning so that we don't forget. We have a Slack workspace if you'd like to join. We'll announce events there and talk about Tableau things and marketing and market research things. If you have any questions, or if you're doing something in Tableau that looks cool, or you see something cool, people post it in there and then we can talk about it. So you can use that QR code to join our Slack space. And if you would like to present at a future meeting, we're always open to that, always looking for speakers. And then lastly, our next meeting will be on September 10th. So if you'd like to save the date, and a formal invitation will follow. Okay, next up. So we want to hear maybe from a few of you, if you haven't introduced yourself yet, maybe on a prior event, or maybe this is the first event. Open to anyone who would like to step up. Feel free to come off of mute, and then we will ask you to answer these questions, and so we can learn more about you.
I'll go first. I'll take the lead. My name is Sarthak. I am from Chelsea, London. I've recently moved here to UK, and I am also in the last semester of my master's. I'm pursuing marketing and digital analytics, and I'm also a Tableau academic ambassador. And this is my first talk with the market research group because I wanted to experience all the user groups before I wrap up my role. And sooner, I will be moving towards the mentorship role of the academic program. So that is new from my side. And recently, like I've said, I'm also working on my Tableau public profile a lot, and I'm in the market for the jobs now. So I hope it will be a good experience here. That's from my side.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sarthak. Nice to meet you.
Hi, my name is Oscar Baez. I work for New High Glass. We distribute glass containers for the cosmetic industry. And I'm the CEO, and I started with Tableau as a hobby, and now it's become something that we need. So I've been exploring different communities to understand better the Tableau community and see what I can bring to my company. I've been in sales and marketing my whole life. From the client perspective. Also, I've been doing a lot of Python to clean and manipulate data, and then using Tableau for presenting the data and spreading it. But basically, I'm here to understand what you guys are doing, what is out there. I'm basically preparing myself for a future consulting role when I retire. So that's who I am. Thank you.
Very cool.
Hi, my name is Gwendolyn Evans. I am currently job seeking, and I'm in the interview pipeline for the Tableau user group program manager role at Salesforce. And so I'm here to learn more about user groups, learn more about Tableau, see how things are run, and get the feel for, if I were to be hired for this role, how I could serve all of you and make this program more impactful and fun for all of our TUG leaders and members.
Nice. Thanks for joining.
Hey guys, I'm Walker. I am also seeking a role, hopefully using Tableau, and I'm doing a run of informational interviews, and two analysts, one from Warner Bros. And one from Disney, told me about their market research roles that they do and they've done in the past, and I just thought that sounded very cool and up my alley, and here I am.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. Anyone else? We can take maybe one more. If not, we can move on. Yes, and please feel free to drop your LinkedIn if you'd like to connect. All right, with that, we will move on to our feature spotlight of Tableau Pulse. And I remember I need to stop sharing so that Sarah can share.
Beautiful. Thank you, Josh. I'll just get my screen set up here. And there we go. So I am going to share my slides. There we go. And we'll go into the slideshow mode. Perfect. Is everyone able to see my screen? It should be showing the first slide of the Tableau Pulse demo.
Yes.
Good.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, great. So today I wanted to give you a quick overview of what Tableau Pulse is and some of its key features. And then I'll switch over to a Tableau Cloud demo site and actually get into the tool and show you the ins and outs of it. So Tableau Pulse is one of the ways that Tableau is leveraging generative AI. It's a relatively new feature. It was made available to all Tableau Cloud sites back in February. And what I have here is a screenshot of what the Tableau Pulse landing page is. And I should mention, if you have any questions during this chat, feel free to put them in the chat. And I know Josh and Luigi and Sharon are tracking those questions there for us. So, okay, great. So we have our landing page here. And as you can see, there's two Pulse metrics currently showing on this screenshot. And each metric has a big number, a trending line, and then you can see there is some natural language that is automatically generated. That's the generative AI component. And Tableau has really designed Pulse to monitor key metrics easily and to provide actionable insights. So you can see right away with the trending line that you would want to build a Pulse metric off of a data source that has some sort of time component, an order date or a campaign date or something along those lines. It's also been built to show you a comparison of a period over period. So these metrics are showing us, this first one right here is showing us currently where we are year to date, and then it's giving us a comparison for the prior year. A couple of things to note: for a successful Pulse deployment, you would want to make sure that your data source is validated and verified. Because the natural language is auto-generated, it could be quite misleading if there was data values in here that weren't accurate or valid. So definitely spending time at the data source level and making sure that your data source is accurate and valid is really key, because you wouldn't want any of these insights to be misleading or taken out of context. The other important thing to note about the data source that you would use to build a Pulse metric is you want to make sure that it's using clean, logical naming conventions, because the generative AI pulls on those field names and those column headers, so profit, order, quantity, count, and puts those right into that natural language. So you want to make sure that those naming conventions are logical. Sometimes when you bring a data source into Tableau, Tableau will rename those fields, and maybe they'll add a 1 at the end of it, or underscores and things like that. So you want to clean those up and make sure that they all would make sense in a sentence, essentially. So that's a little bit about what it is and what it's like. I'd like to just spend a moment here to talk about how it's been designed and how easily accessible these Pulse metrics can be. So this little screenshot here is actually what a metric card looks like in a mobile format on a smaller screen. And one of the things I love about Pulse is that they've designed it so that it translates well to that smaller viewing format. As we all know, oftentimes a dashboard does not translate well to that smaller mobile format. So this is one of the ways that Tableau Pulse is really complementary to existing dashboards. You can use Tableau Pulse to be those KPIs, those key performing indicators, right? And have them readily available in that mobile format, but then also have your existing dashboards for that more thorough analysis. The other thing that Tableau has done is they've created the Pulse metrics to be sent to your inbox, and they're calling those the digest emails, and you can get those daily, weekly, or monthly, just depending on how you set your own preferences. So this screenshot here is what the metrics look like in an email in my inbox. And one of the things I love about this is it's making adoption for this tool completely seamless, right? So you could be in a meeting and you could refer to, oh, well, this morning's Pulse metrics showed me this number, and you could pull it up right from your inbox in that meeting. And you don't even need to log into Tableau Cloud and go find that metric. It's right there in your workflow. I know that oftentimes within an organization, Tableau enablement and adoption can be slow because new users may be reluctant to log into Tableau Cloud or may not have the ability to easily find those metrics. And so this is one of the ways that Tableau is bringing that to the users. There is also currently Slack integration, so you can have these Pulse metrics pop up in your Slack channels. And at Tableau Conference, they announced that there will be an integration with Microsoft Teams as well. I haven't seen any additional documentation on that, so I think that's still a few months out, but something that's coming, and I know that that will really help a number of organizations that use the Microsoft suite. So let's just spend a moment talking about who can interact with the Pulse metrics. So creators and explorers have the ability to create the metrics, and then they can also add followers to the Pulse metrics. And I'll show you how that's done in a moment when we switch over to the demo. Viewers can also access the Pulse metrics and interact with them. They can get those daily digest emails, etc., but they're not able to build the Pulse metrics. Now, in terms of permissions, who can see these Pulse metrics, of course, we're always concerned about making sure that the right information is in the right hands. So you would want to be sure that your permissions are set at the data source levels. So if a Tableau user has access to that data source, then they would be able to see any of the Pulse metrics that have been built off of that data source. And one other important item to note, row-level security is possible with Pulse metrics. It simply needs to be baked in at the data source level. So how would we get started with Tableau Pulse? Well, one of the things you need to know, it is available for all Tableau Cloud sites as part of the package, but it is not automatically turned on. So your site admin would need to go into Tableau Cloud and turn on that Pulse feature. It's also important to note that it is possible to turn it on for just a select group of users. You do not need to turn it on to all users right out of the gate, which I think is a really valuable feature. Tableau has been very intentional about letting organizations roll out that generative AI feature in an intentional way to make sure that the users that are interacting with it understand the context and whatnot. So the first step would be to turn that Tableau Pulse feature on. And then, of course, you have to identify the metrics that you would want to build out. And once you know those metrics, you would then make sure that you have the data source that you need for that metric published to the Tableau Cloud site. I talked a little bit about making sure that the naming conventions are good and making sure the values are verified and validated. One other important consideration, Pulse metrics need to be built off of a single data source. So if you need to do joins and relationships among different tables and you need to have some sort of data model, that can all happen. It just needs to happen before the data source is published. And then once you've got your data source, you would go ahead and build out your Pulse metrics. So this is the point in the talk when I'm going to switch over to the Tableau Cloud demo site. And hopefully everybody is now seeing my Tableau Cloud screen. This is just a demo site, and you can see here that this site admin has already turned on Tableau Pulse. So I can go directly to this menu option, and it takes me to the Tableau Pulse landing page. And what we're looking at here is data for an online advertising campaign. This is a mock data set. I actually used the Data Mockstar ChatGPT feature to build out this mock data set. So if the numbers look a little off, I mean, this click-through rate is pretty high. Don't worry, this isn't real data. But just wanted you to see what it looks like when you first go to your Tableau Pulse landing page. I am already following these three metrics. That's why they appear on my landing page. If another user was following different metrics, they would only see theirs. They wouldn't see the ones I'm following. And you can manage the followers for each metric right here. So currently 2 people are following this. I could remove a follower, and I can also add followers right here just simply by searching. So let's take a look now at what we have for each metric card when we drill down and have a more in-depth look. So when you click on a metric card, it brings you to this overview, which is very similar to what we were looking at on the metric card. You have the option here now to click on the breakdown button. And this is where you can change the way the metric is sliced and diced, if you will. So I can switch this and now look at my metrics based on ad type or campaign name. So that's a really handy feature right there. If you scroll further down, you're able to see some different insights. And here's where more of the generative AI feature comes into play. Tableau has offered some natural language prompts so that you can explore the metric in more detail here. You can also type in your own question and it'll give you suggestions on different ways to look at the data. So that's a little bit about what each metric looks like. Now you can do a couple of other things from here. If there's another metric that you want to follow, you can browse metrics. And I happen to know that a metric was already created for online ad spend. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. I'm going to follow it myself. And now when I go back to my Tableau Pulse landing page, you'll see it's been added here. So now I'm following 4 metrics, and all 4 of those would appear in my daily email. And that reminds me, I have an example of what that daily email looks like here. So you can see this email would come in your inbox, and it shows you all the metrics that you're following. And there is a link right from the email that can take you to the Tableau Cloud site where you would log in. There's one other thing I'd like to show, and that is how you would build a metric definition. So if you're a creator or an explorer and you have access to the data source, you would be able to build a new metric. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to find my online advertising data source. Here it is here. I'll say connect. And this brings me to my create a new metric screen. So what we'd like to do is give this a name. So let's do a cost per click metric. And you can select the measures here. And I already have a cost per click measure in my published data source. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. You can do an advanced definition, and that allows you to create very basic calculations here. So if I didn't already have that cost per click calculation in my published data source, you could build that out here and save it. But just know that it would only apply to this metric definition. It wouldn't be available in the data source for other individuals to use. Okay, so back to the top here, we've selected our measure. It'll be the sum. That makes sense for this one. You can either have a running total or non-cumulative. I would prefer non-cumulative for this. Okay. Our time dimension will be our campaign date. And then I'll leave it to default to the prior year. And then here, what I'd like to add are some of the different ways that we can break down the data. So in that window where I showed where we clicked into the metric card, this is where you're adding those filter options. So we're going to add them there. And then the number format, you can set it to be a number, currency, or percentage. This is cost per click, so I want it to be currency. Now, before I press save, I want to just show you quickly the Insights tab. This is where you can give Tableau a little bit more information to help with the bottom half of that metrics drill down page. So here for our trending line, it defaults to be neutral, but you can change that to be either favorable or unfavorable. And in the case of cost per click, I'm going to change it to be unfavorable because I want to keep my cost per click as low as possible. So a value going up would be unfavorable. And this is important because it helps inform when Tableau is generating that natural language context. It needs to know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing if that value is going up. And then the insight types help inform the bottom half. And it just basically says, do you want to know what the top drivers are or what the bottom contributors would be, or do you want to know more about current trend, that sort of thing. All of these can be turned off if you don't want those available as part of the metric definition, and if you don't want Tableau to offer up those natural language prompts. So we have our definition created, and I can press save, and it takes me right to the overview of that metric, and you can see it looks very similar to that other metric that I showed you at the start. I can add myself as a follower, and I can add more followers right here by clicking on the follower button. And then you can always go back and edit the definition if you need to. So we can press back. And now you can see that this new definition that I've made has been added to my, my landing page. So that essentially in a nutshell is Tableau Pulse. I'm going to pop back now to the slideshow. I believe there's one more slide for us to see. Oops. This one here. So we created our Pulse metric. We took a look at how to add followers to it. And this is currently the 3 ways that followers can see the metrics that they're following. I also just wanted to quickly mention that Pulse metrics can also be embedded. So that's another important consideration if there's a website, internal or external, where you'd want that metric card to appear. And then Pulse metrics are also part of the Tableau Cloud admin insights data sources. So if you wanted to track usage, you know, how often people are using the Pulse metrics and that sort of thing, that information is right at your fingertips through the admin insights tables. So there we have it in a nutshell. That is Tableau Pulse.
It's pretty cool. Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I really like how all of the generative AI stuff is coming in, and it's pulling like your own, you know, metrics, and with like the natural language,
Yeah.
and you know, it's such a huge like step just to get to that point. You don't have to have somebody, you know, preparing it for you. It's just sort of right there, and it can even get sent to your email. So.
And I think the Tableau Pulse is a great like bite-sized way to just test it out, you know, test the AI waters. It can be just a couple of metrics. It can be a small group of users, and it can really help an organization become, you know, AI ready, if you will, because I think there's a bit of a learning curve and also just a comfort level with what generative AI is and how it can be used, and the pitfalls that go along with it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sarah, there's a couple of questions in the chat. Graham is asking if anyone has a good use case, an example of having used Pulse with valuable impact to the organization. I don't know if you have something like that, or someone else wants to hop on.
So we actually have a client that's just starting out using Pulse for their help desk IT tickets. So their leadership wanted to keep closer tabs on the daily tickets that were coming in, resolved, and a number of days to resolve them. And so while it's not necessarily marketing or market research related, that is one use case that I've seen. One client has jumped on that idea.
And Ojo, you want to say a few words? I saw you responded, but maybe you want to elaborate.
Thank you. This is fantastic. Usually most of the other tags I go to have the video and the mute enabled. I like the inclusivity of this user group. Yes, when it comes to that option, what was metrics before, and this was probably 2 or 3 major versions back, we leveraged the metrics option heavily because you didn't have to go fishing around your pool of dashboards to look for what's important. So all of those metrics are now Pulse enabled. We did it. We were waiting for that release to happen. Once it happened, we enabled it, and all of our users who were now following the metrics, some of them requested that they get these notifications on their email so that they now have a historical out-of-the-box capability of looking at trend and the big numbers that make take informed decisions from there. Thank you.
Okay. And Sarah, I wanted to just clarify. So Pulse only connects to a published Tableau data source. Is that right?
That is correct. It has to be published to Tableau Cloud. And the Pulse feature is only available on Tableau Cloud. It is not currently available on Tableau Server. They haven't promised when or if it might be available on Tableau server. I think it has to do with the technology that's involved in that generative AI component. So for now, it's only a Tableau Cloud feature.
Super. And Oscar, I see your question. Is this the application that can combine data from Tableau Public with your own data sets? I don't think so. Right, Sarah? That's not what Pulse is about necessarily.
Yeah, so I don't think Pulse is available in Tableau Public. So you would only be able to do it if you had access to a Tableau Cloud site. I'm just rereading the question. Is the application that can combine data from Tableau Public with your own data sets? So yeah, if you had your own data sets and you had access to Tableau Cloud and Pulse was turned on for that Tableau Cloud site, then you could publish that data set up to that Tableau Cloud site and do it there. Oh, is this the application that can combine data from Tableau? You might be thinking of Tableau Prep, possibly?
Well, I heard on the conference that let's say I want to have a KPI, let's say I don't know, clicks per population by, I don't know, whatever I have it. Let's say I have it by zip code or something, and I want my model to be reading to that is available in Tableau Public. I heard that was possible somewhere in this environment, but I wasn't sure where.
I honestly do not have an answer for that. I apologize.
That's fine. That's fine. I probably.
I'm searching right now. I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay.
I don't either. I don't know what you mean either.
I'm a compulsive optimist, so probably I heard something and I put some good news in my mind that probably are not there yet.
Right.
Any other questions for Sarah? If not, can move into our breakouts. So we'll do maybe 10 minutes or so in a breakout, and then come back here. So essentially just kind of carrying on the conversation. You can introduce yourselves. So it's partly, getting to know other people here, and then also, what did you enjoy? What did you like about the presentation today about Tableau Pulse, and any possible use cases that you might see for yourself? So I'm going to try doing this. I'm just going to do 2 breakout rooms here. Now, when I create the breakout rooms, you should see like a pop-up that says you're going to join the breakout room in 10 seconds. At least unless you're a host, I think then you might not. So I just created the breakout rooms.
Perfect.
And it should give you a button to join. It should say 10 seconds and then join now. So you click the join now button. And hopefully this works.